Who let Grandpa play war games, they joked, seconds before he saved a life with one move. They mocked a relic, but what they didn't know was that he trained ghosts. Ridge Valley shooting range wasn't fancy. Concrete benches, metal roof, one vending machine that only took quarters. But every Saturday at 6:45 a.m., before the gates opened, a silver 2003 Ford Ranger would ease into Spot 4. Same as always. No music, no rush, just quiet. The man behind the wheel was Harold Whitmore. Most folks called him Pops. Nobody knew much more than that. He walked with a slight limp and wore the same tan flannel shirt, sleeves rolled to the forearms, faded jeans, boots that looked like they'd survived 3 wars, a ball cap once blue, now sun-bleached and bent at the brim. No patches, no logos, just a blank crown and a man who didn't need symbols to say who he was. Over one shoulder, a scuffed-up range bag, nothing fancy. One pistol, one box of .45s, and a dented steel thermos. That was it. That was always it. Most of the younger guys figured he was a retired trucker, maybe some old welder with back problems and time to kill. He didn't talk much. Signed in with just H. Whitmore and a nod. Lane 7 was his. Every time. Always farthest from the crowd. Away from the Bluetooth speakers, the protein shake debates, the TikTok kids who turned everything into content. He never smiled, never flinched. Just loaded, aimed, and fired. 30 rounds, no more, no less. Then he cleaned his weapon, packed up, and left. That was the ritual. They'd joked about him constantly. Same boots since Vietnam. He probably thinks he's Rambo's cousin. Bro still shoots like it's 1969. Even the staff played along. Behind the counter, they'd share bets. Would Pops hit all inner sick today? How long before he missed a shot? But they never noticed how he moved. Perlo didn't fidget. His eyes tracked wind that didn't exist. He didn't aim at the paper target. He watched the metal frame behind it, as if reading its tension. His reloads weren't rushed. They were quiet, methodical, like someone honoring memory rather than chasing accuracy. And then came Jared Cross. 22, SEAL recruit, on leave before his next round of training in Coronado. Tall, lean, sharp jaw, and sharper instincts. The kind of guy who could pick apart a formation just by watching the way you stepped. He wasn't cocky, but he'd seen enough of the real thing to spot the difference between show and substance. Jared came to the range for focus, for clarity, not for laughs. So, when he first heard the rhythm from lane 7 through 7, his ears twitched, not because of the volume, but because of the control. It wasn't just accurate, it was disciplined. He looked over. Pops didn't flinch between rounds. Grip, stance, everything was textbook. But that wasn't what caught Jared. It was the way he reloaded. One motion, no waste, no flash. That wasn't civilian. That was training. And not just any training. Then, during a magazine switch, Jared saw it. Barely visible beneath the rolled-up sleeve. A faded tattoo. 2 digits. A curved blade. The outline of a globe. His breath caught. First Recon. That wasn't a design you picked off a wall in a tattoo shop. That was earned. That was carved into flesh, only after flesh, after silence, after blood. He stepped closer, trying not to draw attention, watched as the next volley landed perfectly grouped. Jared swallowed. Every instinct in his body was telling him he was looking at someone who knew how to kill without leaving noise behind. Still, he hesitated, then finally spoke. "Sir, is that First Recon?" Pops didn't stop. He emptied the mag, set the pistol down, and looked up. His eyes were pale steel. "Once," he said. "That's all." And that was enough. Jared didn't say another word. just nodded, stepped back to his lane. But his aim was off after that. His focus scattered, because now he knew. Now he couldn't unsee it. That man, that relic, wasn't some old-timer burning ammo. He was a ghost, and ghosts didn't train shooters. They trained hunters. The next Saturday, the jokes started before the gates even opened. Petty, loudest voice in the group, all bravado and zero humility, was already live streaming on TikTok by 7:02 IME. Yo, back again with Ridge Valley updates. Guess who's here? Grandpa Recon. I swear he's training for the Ghost War. 30 rounds. One thermos, one dream. Behind him, a few of the younger guys laughed. Some didn't. A few had seen the way Jared looked at Pops last week. Like he'd just seen a chapter of history open itself and breathe. But Petty, he wasn't listening. Today, he said to the camera, we're gonna see if Pops wants to join the big leagues. I'm challenging him to the split shot drill. Let's see if he still remembers how to hold a grip without shaking. Inside the range, lane 7 was already occupied. Same stance, same flannel, same silence. Jared stood 2 lanes over, watching. Petty walked up with his phone still recording. Sir, he called out, mock formal. How'd you feel about a friendly shoot-off? Harold didn't flinch. Didn't turn. Just 30 rounds, Petty pressed. Unless 30's all you've got left in the tank. Still no response. Jared started to move in, but Harold raised one hand, barely. A signal. A boundary. Jared backed off. Petty smirked, turned back to the camera. Y'all see that? Man's locked in, like he's clearing a village out here. That clip would go viral for the wrong reason, at first. But not yet. Because 20 minutes later, everything changed. It started with a misfeed. One of the new guys, Corey, was loading a borrowed pistol. Too fast, wrong angle. The round jammed, he yanked the slide, and the weapon misfired, loud, sharp, angry. The shot slammed into the concrete divider and ricocheted, screaming past a girl in the back row. She froze. The entire range paused. Then, movement. But not from security, not from Corey. Harold moved. Fast. He was across the space before anyone blinked. One arm sweeping the gun out of Corey's hands, the other pressed against the kid's chest. Don't move, he said, voice calm but steel. Breathe. Keep your finger off the trigger. Corey stood there, pale as drywall, shaking. Harold looked to the girl in the back. You all right? She nodded, barely. The staff didn't even make it over before Harold had the weapon cleared, the round ejected, safety engaged. All in under 10 seconds. Jared caught the whole thing on video. The clip hit 200,000 views in 4 hours. By nightfall, Still Here was trending on military TikTok. People weren't laughing anymore. Especially not Petty. He came in quiet the next morning. No phone out, no jokes. The comment section on his stream had turned fast. You mocked a hero. Man saved a life and didn't even break stride. Hope you apologized to him in person. He hadn't. But he would. Soon. Jared couldn't sleep that night. Instead, he did what no one else had done. He logged into a secure archive. Old school. Government clearance level 3. Search. H. Whitmore. Only one hit. Declassified after 2006. SGT. Harold Whitmore. USMC. 1st Recon. Laos. March 6, 1971. Extraction under fire. 7 personnel recovered. Refused medevac. Wounded twice. Award declined. Recommendation: Silver Star. Status: irreplaceable. Now silent. Jared just stared at the screen. That man had been there, done it. Saved others, refused credit, and kept showing up like he was no one. By Monday, everyone knew. The girl who'd nearly been hit posted her own video. I thought I was gonna die. He didn't even blink, just moved. I didn't know who he was, but now I do. Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. The staff at Ridge Valley put up a new sign near Lane 7. It wasn't flashy, just a strip of polished brass. Lane reserved, until he says otherwise. Petty posted a video 2 days later. No filters, no background music, just his face, lit by the pale glow of regret. I didn't know. I joked. I mocked him. Then he saved someone, while I stood there recording. I was wrong. It wasn't enough. But it was something. The following Saturday, the entire range changed. Less noise, less ego, fewer jokes, more respect. 3 SEALs showed up unannounced, stood by Jared, and waited. Not for training. Most extravagant to watch. Harold showed up like always. Same truck. Same steps. But now, every person stood a little taller when he walked by. Nobody spoke. Nobody dared. Until Jared stepped forward, offering a sealed ammo box. Figured 30 wasn't enough today. Harold looked at the box, then at Jared. A full second passed. Then, the smallest nod. He took the ammo. Set up, fired. Same rhythm. Same silence. But the echo felt different now. Like every shot carried a weight none of them had earned. Yet. The video Jared posted, clip of the misfire, Harold's reaction, and the silence that followed, hit 1 million views by Wednesday. But it wasn't just the views. It was the shares, the comments, the veterans who reposted it with hashtags like Real One and We Know Who He Is. The noise reached further than anyone at Ridge Valley expected. A podcast host with 500,000 followers did a deep dive. Who is Sergeant Harold Whitmore? A retired Green Beret chimed in. We used to train with 1st Recon. Those guys. They didn't come back the same. Some of them never came back at all. And the ones who did? They didn't talk. They just carried. Reddit lit up with speculation. Someone found a grainy black and white photograph from a 1971 military log. 7 Marines in the jungle, soaked in blood and rain, with a single man in the middle, holding a radio, and 2 wounded soldiers. Jared zoomed in. That was him, Harold, younger, covered in mud, staring into the camera like it owed him an answer. That Saturday, Harold arrived again, but this time he paused at the front gate. There was a crowd. Reporters, photographers, local veterans, even a few old-timers with hats that read Vietnam Vet, standing quietly behind the range fence, hands folded, eyes focused. He didn't speak, just walked past them all. Lane 7 waited. Same bench, same brass plate, same routine. Until Jared stepped forward again. This time, he wasn't alone. A woman stood beside him. Mid-30s, athletic, dressed in civilian clothes but with posture like steel. Sir, she said, on behalf of the United States Navy, we want to thank you. And we want to correct a mistake that should have been fixed decades ago. She opened a small case. Inside, a silver star. Harold looked at it. No expression, no motion. Then he turned and walked past it. No thank you, no speech, just one sentence. I didn't do it for that. Petty watched all of it from the corner. He hadn't been back to shoot, just to be present. The shame on his face was visible, raw. After everyone else had spoken, after the award was refused, Petty walked to lane 7 with a simple envelope. Inside was a letter. One sentence. I never knew who you were. I only saw what I thought you weren't. I was wrong. I'm sorry. He left it on the bench. Walked away. Harold never picked it up. But the most viral moment came after. Not from TikTok. Not from live streams. From an unexpected source. The security cam footage, posted anonymously, showed something the public hadn't seen. Harold sitting alone at lane 7, long after the crowd had gone, staring out across the field. No shooting, no movement. Just sitting. Still. And then, quietly, he reached into his bag, pulled out a coin, held it in his hand. A Recon coin. Not polished, not decorative. Worn, faded, edges rubbed flat. He looked at it for a long time, then placed it on the bench, and walked away. No salute. No goodbye. Jared arrived later that afternoon, saw the coin, froze. He didn't touch it at first, just looked. Then he picked it up. On the back, someone had etched 2 words. Still here. The staff never saw Harold again. The truck never returned. Lane 7 remained empty for weeks. Nobody dared stand there. Until the day Jared showed up with 4 new recruits. Quiet, disciplined, focused. He placed the coin in the center of the bench, turned to them, and said, "You want this lane? Earn it." It wasn't supposed to go viral. At least, that's what Jared thought when he uploaded the full version of the incident. No edits, no filters, just the raw footage. Harold clearing the jammed weapon, shielding a young girl, and calmly handing the gun back like it was just another Tuesday. But the world was hungry for authenticity, for someone real, and Harold Whitmore. Within hours, the video exploded. Not just on military TikTok or Reddit threads about forgotten legends, but on morning shows, veteran forums, news cycles across 3 continents. Headlines read, "Unknown Vietnam hero saves life at Texas gun range. Recon ghost emerges after 50 years. By day 2, people started arriving. Veterans, reporters, historians, quiet men in pressed shirts and ball caps with patches that matched Harold's, though not all were worn visibly. A few brought faded photos. One man, early 70s, broke down in front of lane 7 when he recognized the figure in a grainy jungle picture pinned to the bulletin board. "He pulled me out of a river near Savannah-Ket," he whispered. "We never saw him again." The twist wasn't that Harold had served. The twist was how deeply he'd buried it. Even the Pentagon hadn't been aware of the full scope until the video surfaced. A name long buried under Black Ops paperwork was now being exhumed, not by bureaucracy, but by the voices of those he'd saved. An email surface, dated 1973, between 2 Marine officers. Whitmore refused the medal again. Told me, "Give it to the ones who didn't come back." I filed the paperwork anyway. Probably won't go anywhere. But now it had. Tuesday afternoon, a black government SUV rolled into the Ridge Valley parking lot. No sirens, no agents. Just 2 men and 1 woman, all dressed in suits, stepping out with measured calm. The woman carried a small wooden box, polished oak, sealed with an embossed Marine emblem. Inside was a silver star. Harold didn't greet them. He was already at lane 7, packing up, about to leave. The woman approached. Soft voice. "Mr. Whitmore, the Department of the Navy wishes to formally award you this medal for your actions in Laos, March 6, 1971. Harold looked at her, then at the box. "I told your people no, back then. Still no." "Sir, this comes with no press, no cameras, just recognition." He raised an eyebrow. "You waited 50 years. You can wait a little longer." He turned away. "Put it on the bench." She hesitated, then placed the box gently next to his thermos. And Harold walked out, again. The rejection became its own kind of symbol. The video of the exchange, silent, respectful, powerful, sparked a second wave of response. Not outrage, but reverence. Thousands of comments. A man who walks away from a medal, but never from duty. Some carry rank, some carry legacy. But the biggest twist was yet to come. Jared, obsessively combing archives, finally unlocked a declassified operation log from March '71. There, in typed ink and redacted lines, one sentence stood untouched. Extraction Unit, Sergeant H. Whitmore. Status, irreplaceable. Asset instructed to remain silent, for security and national continuity purposes. And below that, scrawled in handwriting, give him whatever lane he wants, and don't ask questions. A week later, Harold didn't show up. Lane 7 stayed empty. The staff waited. A few tried calling. No one answered. Jared went to the local VA office. No record, no file, just a handwritten note taped to a locker door. Tell Jared he knows where to find it. It took him a full day to understand. That night, Jared returned to Ridge Valley after hours. The sky was bruised purple and gold, Texas dusk hanging heavy. He walked to lane 7. On the bench sat the coin. Same one, faded, worn, turned upside down. This time, a new word had been scratched beneath "still here." It read, yours. Jared sat down slowly, silence wrapped around him like Harold's shadow. He closed his eyes. The sound of 30 perfect shots still echoed. He'd never heard them with his ears. But now he carried them in his chest. A month passed. No one filled lane 7. People showed up, shot their rounds, packed up. But no one sat on that bench. No one laid down a box of .45s, and no one dared touch the coin. Until Jared did. He didn't take it home. He didn't frame it. He built something around it instead. It started as a whisper. A new program, quiet, invitation only. No flashy website, no sponsors, just a list of names. Young shooters, former military hopefuls, those who'd lost their sense of purpose after discharge or failure. Jared called it the Echo Line, named after Harold's rhythm. 3. Pause. 2. Pause. The rhythm that saved a life. The rhythm that trained ghosts. Jared wasn't trying to turn anyone into a sniper. He was trying to turn them into listeners. The first meeting happened on a rainy Friday. 5 recruits. 2 of them had never handled a weapon with respect. 1 had never held one at all. Jared laid out the rules. You show up early. You clean your own brass. You speak when it matters. You listen. There was no shouting, no barked orders. Only Harold's coin, placed dead center on the bench. No one sat until Jared pointed, and even then, it was earn. Videos of the Echo Line started spreading. Short clips, nothing dramatic, just slow, quiet footage. A hand steadying, a breath held, a shot taken, and a silence afterward. One day, a girl, 16, daughter of a Marine who never came back, posted her experience. I didn't understand my dad until this. I didn't understand silence until I heard it in myself. Her video crossed 1 million views in 3 days. Jared didn't repost it. He didn't have to. The world came to it on its own. Meanwhile, the brass plate at lane 7 started drawing visitors. Not to shoot. To remember. One man left a Recon patch. Another left dog tags. Someone else left a letter, folded twice, soaked through with rain. All Jared read was the signature. Still trying to earn it. B. He knew who it was. The final ripple came from a place no one expected. The Department of Defense quietly updated a web page, buried 10 layers deep under medals and citations. Harold Whitmore, Silver Star recipient, posthumously acknowledged. Service continued beyond battlefield. No press release, no podium, just a line. Earned, refused, respected. One Saturday, Jared arrived before sunrise. Alone, he sat at lane 7, the coin still in his hand, and whispered to the empty range. I'm not you. I'll never be. But I hear you. Every time I stand here, I hear you. Then he placed the coin back down. Turned to leave. What stopped? A kid, maybe 17, stood awkwardly by the fence. Too nervous to enter, too drawn to walk away. Jared nodded once. You want to learn? The boy nodded. Start here, Jared said. Watch. Then wait. Then we'll see. And just like that, the next echo began. There's a bench at the edge of Ridge Valley now. Not fancy, just old wood, worn smooth from years of sun, rain, and the quiet weight of memory. People don't sit on it much. Most just stand in front of it, reading the plate. Reserved. Until he says otherwise. They don't know if he is ever coming back. But they wait anyway. Some bring coins. Some bring stories. Some bring silence. And in that silence, something lingers. Across the country, more ranges have started carving out a lane 7 of their own. Not in number, but in spirit. A quiet place. A place where ego doesn't belong, where no one shouts to prove their worth. It's not about marksmanship anymore. It's about listening, about respect, about legacy. Every once in a while, Jared still gets asked, was he real? Was all that true? And he always gives the same answer. Realer than most, truer than many. And if they ask what Harold taught him, he says, they move quiet, to train without preaching, and that the loudest stories are the ones that never needed to be told. The echo line lives on, not in uniforms, not in medals, but in hands that load slow, eyes that scan the wind, feet that don't rush toward noise, but into purpose. Kids who never met Harold know his rhythm. 3. Pause. 2. Pause. They don't know where it came from, but they feel it. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Harold Whitmore didn't want to be remembered. He just wanted someone to carry what he left behind, with both hands, steady and earned. So here's to the quiet ones, to the men who trained ghosts, to the ones who didn't teach with their mouths but with their silence. And if you ever find yourself on a dusty outdoor range, early morning, and there's a man with old boots and a quiet stare, shooting 30 rounds with the calm of someone who's seen too much. Don't laugh. Don't mock. Just watch. And listen. You might be standing next to a story that changed history and chose never to speak of it.